YouTube, Rook here from Rook Geek Goodness, my little channel on the web for all things geeky and cool. In this video, guys, we have another Funko review. We're going to be talking about the Pop Rides Knight Rider Pop number 50. Now, I gushed and gushed when I found this on my most recent toy hunt. I wanted this Pop Ride for so long. I heard about it coming out several months back, and I had to get this into my collection. Now, some of you may not even know what Knight Rider was all about. Maybe you're much younger as far as being a viewer to my content, but may not even heard of Knight Rider. Basically, it was played by the main character, of course, was David Hasselhoff, who played Michael Knight, the main character on the show. The show ran from 1982 to 1986. 4 seasons, ran for a total of 90 actual episodes, had several different films that were kind of one-shot movies they did on TV. It actually spun off in a couple of video games as well, spun off a couple different series along the way. And I loved this show growing up as a kid. It was one of my go-to shows I used to watch when I was much younger. There was really 4 shows I watched when I was a much younger kid, as far as primetime TV. Knight Rider, A-Team, Airwolf, and Street Hawk were 4 shows I loved growing up as a kid. And there's a lot of good things about this Pop Ride and a lot of bad things about it as well, and we'll talk all about that in the breakdown segment. Speaking of breakdowns, we're going to go into a full breakdown. We're going to do a complete unboxing of this item. We'll show the packaging off, we'll show the paint articulation, and conclude the video and final thoughts for you, the viewer. The really important question is, should you actually purchase the Pop Rides number 50 Knight Rider Pop? Stay tuned, guys. We'll go to a breakdown. Alright, guys, we're in our breakdown segment looking at the Pop Rides Knight Rider Michael Knight with Kitt Pop number 50. And the very first thing we always do in a breakdown segment is look at the packaging as a whole. Great packaging, great design. This is how Pop Rides normally look. Usually a bigger sort of box than your standard Pop itself, but same sort of design that Pop boxes normally have as far as Funkos. So very first thing we have here is the Pop Rides logo right here. It says Knight Rider across the top, number 50. You have a shot of course, Michael Knight inside Kitt. Kitt, of course, stands for Knight Industries 2000. On the bottom here, we have Michael Knight with Kitt, and they have an open window box display. You would see him sitting in the car. In the back, you will see kind of, it might be a little difficult, but it's sort of a cutout of the actual Kitt itself with the front headlight going back and forth. It may be a little tricky to see, but you'll see it in the breakdown segment. On this side, we have a sort of side shot of him here. We have Pop Rides, number 50. On the other side here, we have Michael Knight, number 50 as well, with the same sort of cutout, sort of side shot as well. The back is kind of cool here because this is, I think they did this in the TV show if I remember correctly. You would have these 3 images that would go boom, boom, boom across. It was sort of campy. Remember, guys, this show came out in the early 80s, and there was a lot of campy stuff on TV. It does say Pop Ride here, Knight Rider number 50, and of course we have a shot of Michael Knight with Kitt right there. So let's actually get this guy out of packaging, continuing with the breakdown. Alright, guys, we have the Pop Rides number 50 Knight Rider with Michael Knight and Kitt out of packaging. And the very first thing we always talk about when we take something out of packaging is the paint and design. The paint looks really, really good. It is a black car with sort of this grayish windows that you would see. The front window, the side windows, and the back windows, sort of this grayish color. It gives the ride itself a lot more depth and definition. It is all solid black with the gray sort of highlight trims on the actual wheels. The front running headlights you can see over here. On the real car itself, these would flip open and you would see normal lights, but there is no sort of lights on here. This doesn't flip at all. It's all one solid piece of vinyl. The back here, if you're curious, does say Knight, California Knight on the back, which was the same license plate they used on the actual TV show. This to me looks like it jumped right out of the actual TV show into vinyl figure form. I do wish the car was a tiny bit bigger, but it's okay in my opinion the way it looks. It's kind of difficult to tell here, the actual steering wheel that Michael Knight's holding on to, it is sculpted in the same shape that it was used on the TV show. It's sort of this angular steering wheel. It looks very, very odd the way the actual steering wheel looks on the actual car itself. I believe it's actually a Trans Am. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not really up to date with my car references. Let me know in the comment section. I think this is actually a Trans Am. I could be wrong though, but I think it is. I think it is. The other thing that's really, really cool about this is the light in the front here. I think if you're not familiar, there's a history with this light that you see in the front. Glenn Larson, who's a gentleman who actually produced the original Battlestar Galactica TV show, he actually developed the Cylons. What he did is took that idea of the Cylon light that goes back and forth in the front of their eye and made it in the actual Kitt car here, where it went woo 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 woo. That was his idea, and he put it and designed it into the actual car itself. So he's not only the executive producer of the old Battlestar TV show back in the late 70s. He's also the executive producer of Knight Rider, so he took that idea and made it to this actual vehicle. I do wish it would be maybe a light-up gimmick or light feature that would have been put on this vehicle. I think a customizer would do wonders on this actual pop ride. Putting a working sound effect and light in the front here, I think would be really, really cool. Maybe even doing super pursuit mode if you're not familiar. On the last season of Knight Rider, they had a special upgrade for the Kitt car where this back would pop up, there'd be thrusters in the back, the sides would extend open, there'd be more thrusters, and he would go really, really fast for a short period of time. I think that would be a really cool idea if they would have done something like that. One of the big sort of negatives on this pop itself is Michael Knight cannot remove from Kitt. You can't take him off. He's in a seating, basically a seated position, and you can't remove him from the actual vehicle. His hands are sculpted to the actual steering wheel. I don't know if you can see that right here. I'll kind of swing it over to the front so you might be able to get a look at it. He's actually gripping the actual steering wheel. You cannot detach him from the actual pop ride itself, which to me, I think is a misstep. You should be able to take him out of the actual vehicle. As far as the way he looks like David Hasselhoff, the main character of Knight Rider. There is articulation, head will spin 360. He has, of course, the little curly cue that he was well known for in the actual TV show. I think they did a good job basically coming up with a rendition of taking David Hasselhoff, Michael Knight, and putting him in vinyl figure form. Maybe having some individual Michael Knight pops in the future would be a really cool idea as well. A big negative to me, unfortunately, would be the mirrors. This mirror and this mirror here are in a bent position. I tried to unbend this to flex these back into position, and I'm feeling the vinyl beginning to crack. So please be aware of these side mirrors. I don't believe they're supposed to be in a down position. Just so be very, very careful with it. Sort of another accessory that I didn't really want to say it is accessory, but I think it's important, is this backdrop that came with the actual pop ride itself. This is how he actually looked in the actual TV show. I think maybe standing in him against it if you want to display would be a kind of a really cool idea if you want to take him out of packaging. I think that'd be a very neat idea, having both the cardboard cutout next to the actual Michael Knight vehicle itself against Kitt. I think it would be very, very cool. I wouldn't throw away this cutout. I think it's very, very cool. This is how it actually looked in the actual TV show. So all things considered, I think it's a very good pop ride. I wish it was, again, a little bit bigger. I think customizers would really, really love doing something additional to this actual pop ride. Working lights in the front, working sounds, maybe lights in the actual back would be very cool as well. Having the super pursuit mode, maybe if you push on Michael Knight's head or you click a button and it would just expand open in certain parts, I think it would be very, very cool. And it had a price point of about $25 US. And with that being said, let's go to final thoughts and wrap up this video. Alright guys, final thoughts on the Pop Rides Knight Rider Michael Knight with Kitt Pop Ride combo. I absolutely love this Pop Ride. It's a feeling of nostalgia. It's a feeling of being thrown back into the early 80s. I dig everything about this Pop Ride, which was a little bit bigger, but it's all things considered, it is a really, really cool piece of engineering, of sculpting, and design. Absolutely love this. Again, as I mentioned in the breakdown segment, Glenn Larson, who's a producer of the old Battlestar Galactica TV show, who actually invented the Cylons, he actually came up with the idea to add this because he was the executive producer, as I mentioned in the breakdown, of Knight Rider as well. That's why you see the flashy light resembling the old Cylons from the old TV show. And of course he has the woo 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 sound effect. And speaking of the sound effect, I think that's one thing a customizer would love doing with this actual Pop Ride, is customizing it with a working LED in the very front of the pop. I think that would be a very, very cool idea. I think also customizing it where you would have maybe working lights in the back, maybe even going to the super pursuit mode, which again is the sort of the last upgrade that Kitt actually got before the show was canceled, where the back would pop up, you would see thrusters, the sides would pop out thrusters, and you go super fast for a short period of time. Great sort of effect. I think a customizer would love to do something like this. Again, another good positive point I would say is the actual steering wheel is sculpted in that weird angular design that we did see in the actual Knight Rider TV show. I thought it was very, very cool that Funko had that attention to detail to do something like that. Unfortunately, we cannot remove the Michael Knight pop from Kitt. He is like sort of linked to it. He's glued in position, in a sitting position. There is only one seat in here. I believe Kitt was, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, I think he's a Trans Am, a Pontiac Trans Am. I believe, I could be wrong. I haven't seen Knight Rider in a very, very, very long time, but I remember it vividly in my childhood. But all in all, I think this is a great pop ride to own. Again, a little smaller than I would have liked. There is no rolling wheels. I wish the wheels would have rolled, but that's okay. There's just enough paint on here for me to be happy. There's accents, of course, the dark paint, the gray in the front of the headlights here. I wish it would have been tail lights. Again, customizers definitely do something like that. I think it would be a great idea going forward. And I hope you like this video review of the Pop Rides Knight Rider Michael Knight with Kitt Pop Ride combination. Definitely click that like button. Always click subscribe. When you subscribe to my channel, definitely click the bell icon to be notified of my latest videos. If you subscribe to my channel, some people have commented that they're not getting email links and notifications for my videos being uploaded. Make sure to click the bell icon to be notified of my latest videos. And of course, last but not least, you can click Windows over here to watch more of my content. Take care, guys. I'll see you next video, and bye-bye.